What's up, soul? It's your boy Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. As mentioned when we did that guava jam recipe, I've got some more guava there and we have to put it to use. So we're doing a guava pepper sauce or guava tongue-tied guava hot sauce. Vibes it up, man. Just want to quickly run through a couple things with you. These are the ingredients we'll be using along with some white vinegar. But as far as the guavas concerned, we want to trim off any sort of blemishes and stuff like that. Take off the bottom. And then what we're going to do, we're going to cut them up into pieces. Like so. And this sort of area here where all the seeds are and everything, just going to cut that out. So we're left with just the flesh. Just going to scrape that out there. So we're just left with the flesh, and that's what we're going to be using because those seeds and everything is going to turn out to be a problem. The other thing with the peppers, I'm using an assortment of different hot peppers here. You can use scotch bonnet, you can use habaneros, you can use any sort of hot peppers that you like. Cut them open, and we're going to have to give them a rough chop, but as we've discussed in the past, if you want to keep the heat down, now in my case here I want the heat, so I'm keeping all the seeds and that sort of whitish membrane here around the seeds. That's where most of that heat is going to be. You can cut that out and discard it. It is very important also that I'm going in bare hands. Wear gloves. The oils from these peppers, they will remain on your fingers and they will burn. The other thing is wash your hands immediately after with soap and water. You don't want to be touching them kind of personal and private places. In my saucepan, I've got here the peppers, and I think I used about 10 to 12 of those peppers. I'm going to go in with now the with about 5 guavas, 2 cloves of garlic that I just chopped. I just smashed with the back of my knife. Something a little bit strange, but trust me on this. I've got here about half a cup of raisins. We're going to go in with 2 slices of ginger. And remember, before we move to the next step of pureeing this, we want to remove that ginger. We just want the flavor from that at this point. I'm going to go in with about a teaspoon or so of salt. We'll need some liquid to bring everything together. So in total, you'll need about 2 cups, not teacup, but measuring cups of just plain old white vinegar. And to bring in and help it come together a little bit more nicely and sweet, I've got here some molasses. This is about a tablespoon of molasses. And we want to bring that up to a boil now. One quick tip, while this boils and it's come up to a boil now, you really want to open up the windows in your house as well as turn on the fan on your stove. I'm just going to give this a quick stir just to move everything around to make sure that molasses we went in there with is all melted and doing its thing. Turn the heat down to low and let that simmer for about half an hour. It's now time. It's gone nice and soft now. Everything is soft and you can really get that guava flavor in there. You can, well, the peppers are definitely there. What we're gonna do now, I'm gonna turn off my stove. I'm gonna allow it to cool for about 10 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna put it into my blender and puree it. Now here's the thing, we need to take those slices of ginger out of there and we can discard it at this point. Just pause that for a second. The whole idea here now is to liquidify everything to get it nice and smooth. In the same pot that we started off with, I'm going to go back in with that puree goodness. Ooh, that smells good. Wow, it's choking me actually. We're going to put that back up on the fire. We're going to bring that up to a gentle simmer. Many of you are probably watching this and wondering, well, Chris, what is this supposed to taste like? Think barbecue sauce, meat, pepper sauce, meat, guava jam. That is the ideal sort of something sweet and savory, and you know, when you have like your grilled meats and stuff like that, this would be perfect on there. Sandwiches, This is not like the traditional or typical Caribbean pepper sauce. Couple ingredients to finish off this. As it's starting to come up to a boil, I'm going to go in with some honey. Now we had that sugar element from the molasses to start off with. Just going to work that in. That's just going to brighten up and give it that sort of sweetened finishing note that we're looking for. And speaking about finishing note, I have here half of a lime. And if you watch the other pepper sauce recipe, the berry one that I made a little while ago, you would have noticed I love finishing off pepper sauce with lime juice. There's a sort of a brightness to it, a sort of a citrus note. So all I'm going to do here now is bring that up back to a boil and let that simmer for about 7 to 10 minutes. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure to have you guys here in the kitchen with me. Taste it. If it doesn't have that sort of a sweet base to it, what I would recommend adding as well, beyond the honey, you can go in with about a tablespoon or 2 of brown sugar as well. I'm just going to turn the stove off because that is getting sort of volatile in there. Always a pleasure to have you guys here in the kitchen with me. It is very similar to like tamarind sauce and stuff like that we usually make, where you won't necessarily call it a pepper sauce or a hot sauce, but I assure you this thing here is pure fire. And you can't forget the guava, man. Always a pleasure to have you guys in the kitchen with me.